My name is Mike Shepard. I'm a producer. I want to get to know the artists in my new community. This is 1,000 Meals with 1,000 Artists.
My name is Benjamin Rusasa. I am a director and cinematographer who specializes in telling untold stories.
This week, I shared a meal with Benjamin, who I had met previously as he was sitting on the Ottawa Youth Film Festival committee that Soul One did sponsor and support them with helping out with some of the costs and venue and marketing and all that general support that just happened a couple weeks ago. Benjamin is a filmmaker who is diving into creating what really is, to me, the path to creating his first feature. He's got this really solid idea for a short film. He's working on and doing that now. Actually, by the time you listen to this episode, right now, he's actually on set filming. So basically, he told me that there's about a 3-day process of filming and putting things together for this short film, about 20-minute short film or so. And this is the weekend that they're out and filming it. Benjamin's a really interesting young filmmaker who not only is like really getting really cool opportunities, clearly has a passion for a certain type of storytelling. He describes it as untold stories. The stories that you know exist out there, things that we know are happening in the world, that we know happen to people, that are just not talked about enough. And I think it's really fantastic. It's admirable. It's ambitious. He has a very certain, clear goal in mind of the types of stories he wants to tell, which is really great to see. Often you see in filmmakers who are just starting out, they just want to learn the craft and they try different things and experiment. I get a sense from Benjamin that he's going to do the same things, but along this lens that he's created for himself, where it's, I want to tell these certain types of stories. He had a really cool opportunity to do an internship program with CBC, where he got to produce and create his own work that way. He's already produced and created his own short film. He's now working on this next one. As I said, they're recording it this weekend. So I wish him and his team all the best as they record this ambitious project. Benjamin is definitely going to be someone who's going to be creating film over the next several years. You can just tell that he's the type of person that goes from project to project to project. He was even talking in the meal with me about his next thing, what would be coming next, even though the post-production of this short film will be about a year as he gets ready for festival runs in 2025. So he just seems to be that type of creator that's always looking for the next thing, onto the next project, which is fantastic to see. We shared a meal at Al's Steakhouse. He admitted that he'd never been there before and just kind of randomly wanted to choose a place. He says that's kind of how he lives his life, both as an artist and just in general, is sometimes he'll just make a random choice and leap for it, and that's great. We enjoyed obviously some steak, some really delicious salad. It was a really nice meal that we shared together as we chatted mainly about the film scene and a lot about his current project, creating this short film that you'll probably hear a lot more about in the coming year. So enjoy my conversation with Benjamin.
I really want to hear more about that definition of untold stories. So what does that mean, first of all? What to you, what's an untold story?
Untold stories is usually something that's pretty much obvious that a lot of people in society already like know about, but nobody don't really see it on the screen so much. As an example, like the documentary I did with CBC, right? It's about dancers and like the inequality around the city, around like dancers and not that much inclusivity with like BIPOC dancers and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
That's something that's kind of known in the dance community, but that stories has never been told. So I did a documentary around that, right? Or even the short film I'm currently working on. It's about a girl who doesn't get to graduate high school because of life circumstances, right? Most of the time, like when people don't get to graduate high school, it's usually around the, oh, you're not smart, you're not really intelligent, you know what I mean? But you never really get to know, like, what if like there's many other factors behind that? There's always something going on that school becomes a like last one. Like you don't really think about school, right?
No.
So that's pretty much the untold story that I am going with, right? So that's like most of the stories I love to tell. So yeah.
So what is it then? This might be obvious, but again, just for your idea of what is it that draws you towards untold stories specifically?
I think what draws me the most is because one, it's a lot of the people you see them, they have passion.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the story I just told you, like my short film, right? It's based on true events.
Okay, so it's always, is it always have to be based on true stuff?
Not always.
Not always.
I would say like it's inspired.
Inspired. Okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
Because when I was graduating high school, like four of my friends didn't get to graduate. So me just saying that, it's like, no, I need that. It's just one thing. It's like I need for them to get their voices heard.
I definitely want to talk about your short film and what you're working on now, but I want to get kind of a better sense of what you've been doing this past couple of years, because you've mentioned like some other projects, like another short and stuff. What do you do when you have something? Obviously the CBC thing is specific, but otherwise, like, are you entering some of the local film festivals that are here? Is that one of the things that you like to do? Or are you still kind of new at it? Like, where are you?
So like for my first short film, like it premiered at DG60.
DG60,
yeah,
okay.
so it started up there, and then after that we went to another festival in Toronto, One Year Film Festival, and then it went to a couple of festivals like Topra Film Festival, Atlanta African Film Festival. So like it did go around, right? But for this one, the one that I'm working on right now, like I have more plans for it because it's a way bigger. Like I've been writing this story for like 2 years, right?
What do you want to do with it? That might be a big question. But what are your plans? What do you want to do with this film?
My plans, because I want to. The target audience is around like, teenagers, stuff like that. So I want to relate to the teenagers. So first of all, film festival, right? It goes around, cities and stuff for it to get credibility.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, while that's happening, I'm going to be building an audience on social media. By the time that it's now coming in public, there's like an audience for it, because the target audience is on social media, right? So that's gonna be coming from like I'm doing like the making of, like behind the scene of like the story.
Okay, cool.
Like that, people can get the sense, because like one thing about people nowadays, they like to relate with the artist. So if you get the process of it, they now like connect with the story more.
Oh, it's very true, especially on social media. Like that's what people want, that behind the scenes look, connect with the artists that are making it. No,
exactly.
It's very,
so
very
we're also doing that, and then after that, I'm also gonna be reaching out to some like organizations and stuff like that, like non-profits. Maybe they can screen it there, right? And even because like one of the scenes happening in high school, so like OCSB, so like I'm really looking to like partner with them, like hey, you can like screen it, right? So that's one of the big plans. And then after that, don't know when, maybe next year, summer or something, then have a private screening with like friends, family, whoever wants to come. And then I can really tell more about the journey of like what started with the film, when it started until now, and like how everything happened.
Yeah. So do you see that private screening then being an opportunity to not only show the film, but you're mentioning to get that sense of like what it took to get there? Like, are you gonna speak at the event and like do like a Q&A, that kind of thing? Like that would be part of it.
Because like I have like a recording like with one of my friends, like her telling me this story. Right, like it was a whole interview. Like stuff like that, right? The story of the main character throughout the whole journey, and like even like the crazy thing about the making of this film is like everything I did in the past like 2-3 years led up to this. All the people I met, all the things that I did, it all just like it's like a finale for something next for my life pretty much, right? So
Yeah.
that's why it's a very dear for me, and also like I like for it to be like a feature later on because there's so much to tell in this story, right? So
Which a short film just isn't enough time. But I get why you're trying to do it. You want to just get the story out there, tell it first, and then make it into a feature later.
into a feature,
Yeah.
exactly. 'Cause, like,
Yeah, a lot of feature films start out that way, right?
Yeah.
Like they start out as a short, then you gain those connections you're talking about, and then you make it into a feature.
yeah, exactly, right? So that's like one of like the things, like, because like it's a story about a girl who goes through a lot,
Right.
and you cannot cover that much in a short film, right?
How long were you thinking? Like what kind of
So
short
right
film
now
was
we have
this?
like 18 pages. So that's
that-
probably gonna be like 20, 25
20 to 25 minutes, okay.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But it's like I try cutting it down, but like it's,
How can you?
I just let the character write itself. So
Well, I mean, entering film festivals, I mean, there's obviously different like time requirements depending on what
exactly.
festivals you enter. But like if you do your own screenings, like what Ben did with 12 Tales, things like that, you can have it be as long as you want because you're doing your own screenings, or you're working with groups and they're screening it and you're doing those. Like I'm sure there's some flexibility there. But I get what you're saying. It's a story that clearly means a lot to you. It's
Yeah.
probably hard to cut it down.
it's quite exactly, and like it's like every scene is integral with each other, like they all connect, right? So that's like one of the big reasons. But also like film festival is just credibility, right? Because I'm also in a way like starting out.
Right.
So when you have that film festival portfolio,
Yeah.
and like, even when I want to do the feature, right? It's like, hey, I did this and this,
Yeah.
that, and then we
Yeah.
got there. You know what I mean?
You're building a good portfolio right now. You're-
Exactly.
You're making good connections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like back. It's been a tough journey getting here. So
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's like so like 2 years writing it. Like even right now we're still scrapping for funding and stuff like that.
How did you find people to act in it, like to actually be in it?
Actually, what happened was another event of like how things connect. I was a part of OIFF as a committee. In OIFF, who is this? Isabel. She's an actress, and then I was like, for me, if I tried being the casting director, I wouldn't get as many because there's like 9 characters. So like
a lot.
that's a lot
I
of
imagine.
that's a lot of people, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
our people don't know me, right? So it's like if
Right.
I go and ask them, they'll be like, well, who is this guy?
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, let's have an actress who's already in the community and she's trusted by everybody else, right?
Yeah.
So then Isabel ended up coming on the team. She was my savior. She like literally like without her there's no film. So like I always literally say this. So yeah,
Yeah,
Isabel ended up becoming the casting director.
Yeah.
So, like, it was,
Helping to find all the people. Yeah.
finding all the people.
Yeah.
Like it was a long like 2 months of like, finding the people. One of the main actresses then backed out like last week, so now we had to find a new person, which was a whole nother. So yeah, the casting was really hard, but we got here and now we have the whole crew like yesterday. So yeah, we got that, and then yeah, pretty much right now it's a lot of the things are pretty much like there. It's just making sure all the pieces are finally connected. So yeah, finding actors, like the main actress is even coming down from Toronto. So,
Okay.
which is pretty good. But
Yeah. It's nice to do things like to have like a mix of people who are local,
yeah.
people who are coming in from out of town. Like that's really
Exactly,
cool.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
so it's like different parties just getting involved in each other and making this. So
Yeah, it's really nice to see that people are willing to work together and kind of connect. One of the challenges I have seen, and from talking to artists, is that sometimes it's hard to get outside your own circle and meet other artists and other people. But the things you're telling me almost seems to be the opposite. Very good. You're very good. Where you've met a lot of people in a short period of time.
I think for me, it's because what happens to a lot of people, they get comfortable in that circle.
Okay.
So, because for me, one thing I always do, no matter what I do, if I'm going to a networking event, I'm going by myself. Because then I'm forced to talk to people. I'm forced to meet people. Because when you see a lot of networking events, it's like you're already comfortable with your friends. So now why do you have to go talk to new people?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then you just get comfortable, and then like that's when you go networking. People already in the little circles and stuff like that, and like nobody wants to go out. So for me, I just say I'll go by myself, and then I'll figure it out when I get there, right? So then I just go there, and then there's always gonna be somebody that like I find, and then I just start talking to them, and then we then connect from there. So that's one of the big reasons why a lot of people feel like they don't really branch out of that. Is because like it's like, yo, there's this networking event, you wanna come with me? And now they bring the whole friend group.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to then like
Meet people.
new people if you're going with your whole entire friend group? Like maybe if you go with like one friend, you know, like that's cool.
Sure.
But like you go with your whole entire friend group, like are you really going to network? Because now you're already having fun with your friends, so you won't really bother like going out. So that's how I was able to really like get out there more. And I think it's also mostly strategy. It's knowing what you want in that specific moment and what you want to get out of it. Right? It's like
Totally.
I think that's where like a lot of things has helped me out. Like now if it's happening like right now, because I have the plan for the film, right? So now I have a clear vision of like what I'm gonna be doing for the next couple of weeks. Like I'm gonna start then going to networking events where I have to maybe meet funders, festival programmers, and like people who can get it out there. So now I have like a very specific type of people I want to meet. A lot of people just say, oh yeah, you know, they're just freeballing it and like just going through. So a lot of being an artist is creating art, but also being very strategic, of like what's the path you want to go on. So
I've had such fantastic conversations with a variety of artists, and it doesn't matter to me if someone is doing this as a hobby, if someone is doing it for money, if someone's doing it because it's their passion, their career. It doesn't matter to me. It is just interesting to see those who want to grow and want to make, and it's their passion, it's their livelihood. It seems that sometimes things just stop and things don't grow as fast as I think they should. But you're bringing up some really good points as to why that is, and I do think that Ottawa's art scene is growing in such a good way that I think we're headed towards something good. I mean, I think we need more venues is one thing. We need more performance venues. We need that for sure. There's been more funding for local projects.
I think that's pretty much where like that's pretty much the roadblock that we get, like the venues. I think it's also because those type of things are there that I was mentioning before. People don't know, right? Like the funding is there, right? But like you don't know where to get it because it's like you have to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and then like, you get it, right? So I think for me, like it's not like a goal of mine, but it's something if I had the opportunity to work to. I think it's to make it more open to that. Like you go to Toronto or something, like a quick example, you go to Toronto or something, you can do a quick Google search about anything.
Sure.
You have like 20 different options. Already, like it's quick.
Yeah.
In Ottawa, it's not like
no.
You have to be in it to know about it. Right? And that's the thing for me, it's like one of the biggest things that we like. That's the roadblock that Ottawa gets. It's that like visibility on a lot of things because that's so hidden. It's not even like funny. It's just like you have to be in it for you to know about it, and like that's pretty much how it is. But like you go to Toronto, just do a quick Google search about something like this,
and everything pops up.
Everything pops up. You go to like Montreal, everything pops up. Vancouver, it pops up. Ottawa, on the other hand, it's a whole struggle just to find it. And I live here.
That's so true.
Like, if that's like, so if we get that type of like exposure on different things in Ottawa, I think then like people can then like start then going and stuff like that, and like learning and like knowing about things, right? So because I was trying to get funding from Ottawa Arts Court, one of the Ottawa fundings, right? I literally found out about it the 2 days after the submission closed. right? Because there was no advertisement of like, oh yeah, this like, like this grant is about to end, like this grant is happening. You never know, right? I knew about it from somebody else, like the production manager from a short film. So
Right.
like, oh yeah, like you should have submitted here, and then we saw that it closed. So it's like, but like if I didn't meet her, I wouldn't have known about it. And the fact that like that's the reality of Ottawa is why we like kind of sad, and like that's like it just stems the growth of it. So yeah, so we just need more exposure, and I think like then we can then start like getting more.
Okay. This might be a hard question.
Yeah.
What can be done to fix that particular problem? Like, do you think it's the people involved don't know how to promote themselves, or are there not enough places to go promote? Like, if you're thinking right now, if you wanted to find out something about Ottawa, where would you go? Are you Googling it? Are you on social media? Like, are both? Like, what?
But then it's like I'll go on social media. What am I searching for? It's like Ottawa. Like, okay, I'll go on. Like, I could search right now. Grants in Ottawa. Like nothing will pop up. Probably, right?
That's true.
Nothing
Yeah.
will really pop up.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's just more about having more like people whose job is to really like push it.
Well, and it may help if there was one place you know you could go that has a list.
That has a list
Of
Yeah,
everything.
exactly. Of everything you need, right? But then the thing about it, it's a lot of people gatekeep it. Like it's so crazy how many people just keep it to themselves. I mean, like, okay, like, so a lot of people just keep it to themselves and not put it out there, right? Because like, I don't know why they just do it.
Why
right?
would they do that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They just keep it to themselves and then just never like put it out there.
I don't understand why you wouldn't want what you're doing to be out there for people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what value that could give.
Exactly. So, yeah, exactly. So like, that's why a lot of people are up there. It's like they just keep it to themselves, and then like nothing. Now like nobody can ever know about it because like their platforms are there, right? So but, like it's like people just keep it themselves, or like they just don't have. Or even for you to win sometimes, it's like you have to know somebody in the organization, right? It's like, oh yeah, like I know the owner, or like I know somebody in the organization, they're non-profit, right? Of course, like, so that's also another thing. It's like you have to know somebody in the non-profit for you to even get sometimes like a chance of it, right?
That's true.
So that type of thing. So it's like those little small things like the bias and like people gatekeeping it and people not putting it out there and stuff like that. They just end up adding on to then us not getting anything, right? So
I think it's very true. One of the problems I've found, just in the past, I used to write a lot of grants for my theater company. The entire art grant for an organization applying, you have to prove in the grant why you don't need the money, even though you're asking for the money. All the questions are about how else are you going to fundraise? Where are you finding money? Where are you doing this? And it's just like, why do I have to, like, I'm applying because I need the money.
Exactly.
But you want me to prove that I don't need the money.
I don't need the money.
Yeah, which is not the right way to
like
go
it's
about
not a job application where you have to be like, no,
it's
don't know job my money when I want to work here because I need money. It's not like that.
not a job. Yeah,
It's not a job.
I like that. It's not a job.
It's not a
application.
job application. Like I don't have to lie. It's like it's a grant, and everybody that's here is
We're here
the
for the money.
right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like why don't just be direct about it and just let the audience present the project.
Everyone is very risk averse when it comes to funding in the arts, which is odd to me because they're worried about when they report, they have to prove the worth and value as you go up the chain. The problem is the people you're reporting to, they don't know that much about the arts. You could say almost anything and make it sound good, but for whatever reason, arts councils, organizations that have all this access to fund it, they're so risk averse that they want to fund a project that will stick around for a long time, that shows clear dividends, so they can report back and say, oh, look, we funded this amount, this project, this amount of people went to it, and it helps tourism in this region. Like, that's an example of what they want to see. Now, there are some arts grants that are a little bit different. They're more focused on like seed grants or growth grants, they call them, where it's like develop the project and come up with it. Those are great, but I think they're just few and far between. If the Canada Council for the Arts or the Ontario Arts Council could get more funding, those organizations could like prop up artists better and give more things to individuals, which would be great. So it is definitely an issue.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's like one of the big issues too. So I think Ottawa is no longer but like a big. It does not have a big picture issue.
Yeah,
it has a small. There's like friends everywhere that you gotta start taking down, right?
Yeah.
And like it's one of those things like actually speaking of, I had a documentary idea that I'm gonna start working on later on. It's called A Love Letter. Hold on. I don't have a title yet. It's like a message from Ottawa artists and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it covers that problem, right? Like it's called We Are. Oh, it's called like it's gonna be something like We Are Here, a letter from Ottawa artists, right? It's to show that like we are here pretty much, and we can do this. We have done this, and like interviewing Ottawa artists around the city.
I like that.
About like everything. I'm gonna start developing right after this project, but it's gonna be like a slow development.
Yeah.
So like that's gonna be like, because I feel like we just need exposure to say like we can actually do this.
Yeah.
Right. We are here. We have done this. I've accomplished. There's like Ottawa. There's people in Ottawa who have done great things, but nobody cares about it. So that's another documentary for my untold stories and stuff like that, right? So
I like that.
Yeah. So something I'm gonna start developing. So cause like it's like they're here, like we actually able to do this, but like
you're absolutely right, because that is the thing that I definitely can attest to from being an outsider and coming into Ottawa and not knowing everyone. There's a lot of people doing a lot of cool things, but there needs to be more attention put on it. Because when I moved to Ottawa, someone said, "Oh, Ottawa, it's so boring." But when you get here, there's just so many people doing so many things. Like that just seems to be completely untrue. But also, when it comes to the art scene, there's just so many people doing things. But you're right, there's just not the amount of exposure that is needed, which I find to be an interesting problem. And I'm wondering how that gets solved. But part of it is you have to think like a marketer. You have to think with a marketing brain. And I like what you're saying about your projects and using social media and integrating that into a part of the project.
Exactly. That's why for my like one steps is like doing that documentary. Then it's like we can then, because anytime somebody is like, oh, Ottawa doesn't have the funding, I can just show them that documentary. Look what those people did. Look what we are doing. Look like and stuff like that. Like there's history in Ottawa about like a lot of many things, right? It's just maybe because we have not had like a big notable celebrity come out of here yet, but I think it's just like there's. So I think it's just one of those of like, because the funders, a lot of them, they're corporate people. They don't know. They don't know what happens in the community. But in the moment you meet them and you tell them, they're like, wow, really? Like, they're always so surprised, right? So it's then, I think, also then bridging the gap between then, having a bridge between then the funders and the artists. I think that might be like one of the things that's pretty much going to be needed, is to have that bridge around that, right?
Yeah.
Because corporate people don't know, they have no idea how any of this works, right? Like, a lot of them took a degree in politics or like economics and stuff like that, right? They don't know, they don't have like the eyesight for art.
Yeah.
So then it's like, how can they be the judges for this?
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's just it's like those small things that just end up adding on together and then creating, I guess, like a bigger picture and stuff like that. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a slow rise, but we'll get there.
But I think not only is there room to grow, there's room specifically in marketing and self-promotion for people to learn a little bit more about putting themselves out there, promoting themselves.
People don't know that.
Yeah, which I know there's sometimes anxiety that people have about like, well, as soon as I put my art out there, it's going to change and it's going to do this. And it's like, but that's Yeah, that happens.
I think, yeah.
Influences of others is a positive thing. Yeah.
I think most of it is because I see this a lot of musicians, right? Because I have a lot of, I said I have a lot of musicians, right? They have the talent. It's like I have like heard Dave, I'm like, damn. But then they have 400 unreleased music, and then it's like, why am I not making it? You have like one song, right? It's like yo, like I'm not getting anything, I'm not doing this and that. I think one of the things too that it's about Ottawa, it's people don't have the get it done mentality, right? They don't have the I gotta get this done. They say like, yeah, man, like I'm making music, I have so much music. I'm like, yo, let me follow you, let me see what you got.
Yeah.
They have 2 songs. Last song was from 2022, right? I'm just like, okay, so now you're questioning yourself and like how you're not making it. When you don't even put music out there, when you don't even put yourself out there. But the place that they'll put themselves out is our local networking events. So now, because you go to those local networking events, you already get the dopamine. They're like, wow, you're a musician. Wow, that's so cool. Like, you know what I mean? And then they get the dopamine, like, oh, I'm actually doing something. Because you know when you feel accomplished when you go to networking event and you network,
for sure.
You feel so accomplished.
Yeah.
And then that accomplished ends up keep on feeding you if you keep on doing it. And then it just stops there.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people then ends up getting also stagnant at it. Because then it's like, okay, I go networking, but people following me, people are supporting me. But that's not your audience.
No,
right?
You gotta expand.
So you gotta expand. So it's not like getting done. It's just like, okay, so you only have 2 songs. Where are the albums? Where are the EPs? You start dropping more. You start making a lot more for people to get you out there. So then that's when it also then comes to like strategy. As I was speaking, there is zero strategy because when you see a lot of good musicians and their stories, it was strategic. Like I'm like, wait, that actually makes sense. Like that like makes sense. Like they like example like Frank Ocean, for example, right? Like his music, he had to get out of a label who was like taking up all his money because he was required to drop like 2 albums. So he dropped 1 album, Orange, and then the next album he did like a 6-hour live stream or something like that, where he just played all the music and then he got out of his contract, right? Like that. So things like small things like being strategic and knowing what your plan is. This is my audience. Let me see who did it. Let me see who did that. And like getting out there and like thinking about. So I think that's also like one of the other things like a lot of Ottawa artists lack is that strategy and like getting it done.
A little bit of structure never hurts anyone.
Exactly.
To have a deadline. Like if you say, and like the example you brought up is great because there's no musician in the history of the world that has made money from not doing things. You have to do something. So by saying, okay, I'm going to drop this song by this date, this by this, by this, by this, and mapping it out and having that strategy, you're right, that would make a big difference to a lot of people to just add a little bit of strategy.
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
Yeah.
And it's so easy, it's like, it's kind of there. So like Lil Nas X, right? His music, he used to have a meme page. And during the meme page, he used to put his music behind that meme page. So like it would just be a random meme about nothing. And then like his music is playing in the background. He will post that so many times, right? And people then started picking up and say, well, I keep on hearing this song. And then that's how Old Town Road ended up becoming a famous song. It's just coming, instead of from him being like, you know, let me capitalize on memes, right? And then it gets out there. But then a lot of artists, it's like they have such a big ego of like, nah, man, I can't be doing that, you know, like, what will people think? That's not your audience. Like, I think that's your audience. Like,
that's true.
What do you think, like, what do my friends think? What would these people think? You know what I mean? This and that. Like, I can't be doing that. It's like, no, that's not your, like, so
you should start an agency where you give advice to artists and help them map a plan.
Exactly, yeah. Because, like, as I always say, like, one of my quotes is, what is this? How does it go? Hold on. It's like, don't build architecture on air, right? It's gonna fall down. Right? Don't do that. Because like, it goes with like, you just talk about it and nothing comes out of it, right? Don't build architecture on air. So like, yeah, that's why I'm like, I'll just be the agency one day. Like, I'm like, because it's the formula is there. It's just a lot of people just have so much ego and like they don't want to have structure. They just say like, yeah, man, like I'll do it, bro. Like, you know, but like,
Which again is fine if you're not trying to go somewhere with it. When people are trying to make money or have a career or reach some sort of goal, and they're complaining that it's not going for them, that they're not doing anything, then it's a clear like, well, here's what you're missing.
this is what you're missing. It's like, it's like, how can you get blessed if you're not doing it, right?
Yeah,
it's like you're not going to see anything out of it, right? It's like your character is not up to level with like, okay, and a good example is for like this film, for example, right? I had to become the person I need to be in order to handle it. If like me last year, me early this year would have not been able to handle this project at all.
Yeah.
So life forced me to become a person who can handle this project. Handling a lot of people, handling the stress, and like doing all that. So I was like, I had to become that person who can do that. A lot of people do not become that. A lot of people like, there are some things in life where you're actually forced to be that thing that can then do that project or do that thing. So like, but it's like, you're always late. You never really do it. You just procrastinate. You just don't do it. And then it's like you expect for it to then get done. No, like you have to become that thing that your goal, like your dreams and goals are going to get at, right? So it's like those small things. I think a lot of it also then comes down to the character, right? Just, you have to become the character that can handle what you want to be at. Like that's like So it's those small things that I think a lot of people just end up never getting at, and then they just stay stagnant. So
I think that's very true, and I do think that like it's a hard skill to learn, and I feel like you mentioned, you kind of have to do the work yourself to get to that point. You can offer someone support and you can try to instill some of the things you're mentioning, but if a person doesn't get there on their own, then they're never going to get there.
Exactly.
You've got to find that within yourself.
And then just get there by any means, because like, if you really want to, you will get there, right? Like
so you have to put the time in.
Exactly.
Like if you know, any skill can be learned with time and commitment, and I think it always starts with that willingness. If you're willing to step outside your comfort zone and step in that way, then it makes it easier. That's step one. You're already willing to do it, to change, to grow, to adjust.
And then second step, your friends are not your audience. Like I always like, it's just like, because then you feel like you're crazy, right? Because some people, like a lot of musicians too, and artists or filmmakers, this is something I struggled with. What I wanted to put out was not who I was as a person, right? It's like, oh yeah, Ben, he's just cool, like whatever. But then I want to just put out some like experimental short films, like it's all like, weird and stuff like that, right? If then I saw that criticism, like, nah, man, like my friends would think that's kind of weird, that's not cool, whatever, I would have stayed stagnant. But then through doing that, I end up then meeting the right people, started then building an audience through that, and then start then like growing through that, right? So it's then also like, you realizing that, and then just saying like, let me detach myself. I think it's like self-detachment for a little bit. Saying like, I have to kind of detach myself from my environment to get to where I kind of have to be at. So it's like, it's a couple of little factors and stuff like that. But
no, it's very interesting.
It's interesting. Being an artist is like, it's 90%, like it's 80% everything else. 20% the art. The sooner you come to terms with that, it's like 3 years of filming, but 2 years of planning. Right?
Oh no, it's very true. It's very, very true. The actual filming and the creation moment is like this big in terms of the pie.
Exactly.
No, it's very true.
It's like so but a lot of artists just think like you're doing this stuff and that's it. Like just making the film and making the music and like that's it. No, like there's a whole other iceberg you have to crack for you to get where you want to get and like stuff like that. So
1,000 Meals with 1,000 Artists is a project of Soul One Arts, Inc. Produced by Mike Shepard and Zach Porter. Edited by Zach Porter. Original music by Savannah Shea. Thank you to this week's artists and to the local restaurants who host us. For more on 1,000 Meals with 1,000 Artists and Soul One, please visit soulonearts.ca. If you're an artist, feel free to reach out to us on our website and connect for your own meal. Thank you for listening.